Okay, well, here's the Telefunken back in its case. Most of you haven't seen it yet, but this is what it looked like. Okay, I got this Telefunken radio out of its case. It's a Jubilate 205 solid state AM FM shortwave radio. And the problem is this switch is not working. Of course, it's got other problems. I'm sure these electrolytics need to be replaced, especially this one in the power supply. But right now I want to check this switch. Basically, it's supposed to send this either to this or this, which is the one side goes across the entire coil input transformer, and the other side goes against half of the transformer for 117 volts, 220 volts. And there's a red dot here, and you see that turns, the 117 will face that red dot. The 220 will not go nowhere near the red dot. And so there's an issue there, but I'm thinking the owner just wants it running on 220 anyway, but I need to verify that it is set up for 220, and then we will power it up. The case has got considerable amount of wear inside. It's beautiful on the outside, which we'll look at, and when I get it back assembled, then you'll get to see how pretty it is. Speaker's in good shape. Obviously needs some serious cleaning, which we will do. And there's some pretty good size electrolytics here. They probably should all be replaced. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the power supply. And this main one, this main electrolytic. And that's probably got 2 in that can. 2,000 microfarad. No, it's just one. Okay, so, about a dozen or so. There's some on the circuit board, but I don't think those would all need to be replaced. These on the power supply are more critical, so they maintain the voltages for each circuit. But we don't even know if the radio works yet, right? So that's where I'm at, and I had a little trouble getting the knobs off. That slowed me down. Apparently somebody tried to get them off before, because one of the knobs, the little knob, when it came off here, was broken. You see how these spread out on there? See that one there, how the fork opened up? You see that? So that made them really tight. They didn't want to come out, and that's just from age. Well, this one was broke. A piece of it was broken. It still goes in well, but there was no little piece. So apparently somebody had taken it off at one time before and yanked on it too hard. You got to take knobs off really slow and gentle. I keep saying that in my videos. When you're working on any kind of radio like this, even a solid state one like this one that's not that old, still, you see what happens to the metal, right? So you got to be really slow. Now that doesn't mean that the person who took it off didn't do a good job and take it off really slow. I'm not saying he didn't. There's no evidence of work being done in here at all. So for whatever reason he took the knob off, I don't know. Wasn't to get in the radio because he never made it that far. Or maybe after he broke that one, he didn't even bother on the other one. I don't know. It's speculation, right? But I know that this is all original. I know nothing's been changed in here. The circuit board's all original. Everything's original, covered in dust. Nobody's been in here. The tuning assembly is, you see, it needs a good cleaning, and we'll do that. But nobody's been in here. But when you take these knobs off, just take your time. And be very gentle with them. They should slide slowly, if at all. And if they're sliding slowly, no problem. But you go yanking, you're going to break them. So just be aware of that when you're working on radio. That's one of my things I comment on the most. There's some good videos out there that you can watch from different people who repair radios that'll show you different ways of doing it. Wrap a cloth around it, wrap a thick plastic glove, vinyl gloves around them. There's so many different tricks. They even make tools to pry them off gently. If you do use some kind of tool, make sure you put a cloth behind it to protect the front of the case as you're prying. But anyway, just some information to help you while you're working on these radios. Let me go ahead and check this switch and see if we can get it on 117, and then we'll power it up. And I'll be right back. Okay, I figured out what's going on with the radio as far as powering it up. The switch here is bad. And so I jumped the switch with this yellow wire, which is just jumping across these two brown wires, which come from the switch, and went ahead and hooked up a little rinky-dink wire as an antenna. And this switch is bad, which turns it from 117 to 220. That's not working. We could probably put another switch in the back for that. I talked to the owner and he wants me to go ahead and work on it. What I got going so far, I got it on AM. If I turn it on, you hear we have an AM signal. Turn the volume up. Of course, the potentiometers need to be cleaned as everything else does. Now the AM is not working. This is the AM, and there's nothing coming out of there. Of course, I'm on the wrong antenna. That's the FM. If I touch these, that one does nothing. This seems to be the one I get. Hear that? Like it's trying to pull in a station. But the whole band is dead. There's nothing on the band at all. It is picking up, and that is, it could be an electrolytic capacitor, it could be a solder joint. I noticed if I touch this, which is probably where the same wire goes. So that circuit is picking up, but what I got to do is run, I guess it's 455 kilohertz. I haven't really, kilocycles, whatever you want to call it. I haven't really looked at the schematic to see if it says what the IF frequency is, but we need to get the AM working. Once we get the AM working, the customer is okay. If I can't find a switch, the customer is okay with me putting a toggle switch in the back of this board here, probably in that top corner. There's the back of the board. There's FM antenna there. An AM antenna here. External. You know, I haven't tried the external AM antenna. Let's see if we get something, if we use that instead of the bipole. I think it's the same thing. No. So, nothing there. And that would be, yeah, the AM and then the ground. But it has a carbon rod, right? A bipole carbon rod here. So we know that this is the AM here. And that's bringing in a signal. And it could be just needs an IF tune. It may just be out. It definitely needs to be cleaned, right? So I'm acting as an antenna here when I touch the ground. I'm hearing something. the wire is right in the way, of course. It is picking up because that's my fluorescent lights that is grabbing hold of the LEDs. This is shortwave here, and there's nothing there. So let's see if we can find that one. Where does it say shortwave is? Doesn't say. So, oh yes it does. It would be this one down here with the FM. That's shortwave there. Okay, so we got nothing on shortwave either. But that's probably not a big deal. Shortwave is pretty much dead. It is receiving. You hear it. If there was a station available, it would grab it. So it definitely needs an IF tune and an RF tune. These I was telling the customer I would strongly suggest changing these electrolytics here on the power supply board, as well as this main can on the transformer entry board. The little ones in there, unless they're bad, I wouldn't recap the whole radio, but if he wants me to, I will. But so I guess, let me shut this off. I guess the next step is to disconnect it from the speaker. It looks like it's an 8 ohm schematic, I'm sure would tell. And I can connect it up to, either use jumper wires to connect to this one. I'd rather just set the cabinet aside and connect it to external temporary speaker. Oh, it's a 4 ohm. Yeah, and I have some 4 ohm speakers. It's right there. So I can disconnect it and connect it to a 4 ohm speaker. Actually, it looks like it's switchable. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, it might be switchable, but the internal speaker is a 4 ohm speaker, so that's what I'll use. I ain't gonna worry about switching or trying to circuit in any other direction. I just want to get it working, get it cleaned up. As you can see, it definitely needs that. And that dust will mess things up. And so we'll do that. And I might reflow some solder joints if they look like they need it. But let me go ahead and get it disassembled. I'll show you the front of the case. And again, I'll show you the whole unit once we assemble it. And I'll probably take a picture for the entry picture of this video. But I'll set the case aside and go ahead and they're not even popping up. These buttons are stuck. Hopefully I can get them to pop back where they were. That's the AFC here. These are like really locking up. So we'll see what we can do with those. All right, let me get it set up and then we'll run an RF signal through it after we get it cleaned up and see if we can get a AM signal through it and then go from there. Thanks for watching. Okay, I want to document how this all goes here. I'm going to replace these capacitors. This one is wire tied. This transistor is wire tied around this capacitor. These 3 capacitors with those 3 screws go into here. There's a hook that goes through here, which is that one on the bottom. One here and one here. When you put those in, then you twist them to hold it in place. The wire lineup is red, white, blue, yellow, red, which goes to there, that red there, green, which goes to that green right next to the red, and green here, which goes to the other side of the board here, which is this green wire that goes all the way down there. I might unsolder that wire. I can unclip these. So again, the order is red, white, black, blue, yellow, red and green that go to that board, and green that's soldered on. And that would take this off. The white one goes to the center of the volume control or the tone control, whichever one that is. And let's see. Then we got this wire, which is the two brown. They go to the switch, so they're not in the way. But I think I'm going to take these off so I can get this board out and unsolder that green wire there, so I can take this board completely out and change the capacitors. But for right now, I just want to order them. So I'm going to write down what they are and see if I have them and order what I need. And then we will reassemble this. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I got the AM radio working. It was a bad solder joint, actually a bad tab on the printed circuit board. So I fixed that with a little jumper wire, and now the AM's working. And it's working fine, so there's nothing for me to mess with. I injected some signals, everything's great. So I'm just going to do the service work on this board and change these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 capacitors. And the power capacitor I already did. And then that should be fine. I'm not going to recap the whole board. The radio just does not justify doing that unless it's got issues, and there are no issues. So anyway, thanks for watching. Okay, well, here's the Telefunken back in its case. Most of you haven't seen it yet, but this is what it looked like. I did go over and clean it a little bit, just kind of wiped it off. It's actually pretty clean. But this is it. And that's FM. It has AM, FM, and sideband. And it has tone control and volume.
The door, what happened on 9/11. And
now,
we're coming
on AM, I don't have any local stations anymore. They closed the only one I had, so I don't get anything. But you can hear it is tuning. Just not going to get anything because there's nothing around. There's nothing local to me now. Trying to pull something in there. Digital. Anyway, it's not going to get anything local but noise. I'm surrounded by lights and everything else, power equipment and power lines, and I'm not going to get no AM. And I don't have an outside antenna on it anyway. Has AFC for FM. So, go back on the station.
Bureaucratic, very okay, so 40 footnotes, 29 questions.
Now it has shortwave, but again, no antenna for it, right? And nobody's on shortwave much anymore. There's something. I had an antenna to pull it in. But it's probably a religious station. There's really not much that gets on shortwave. A few amateurs from once in a while might broadcast from this ham radio, but normally there's nothing on the shortwave band. It's just there, but it's working. So, okay. The on-off switch is broken on this. It doesn't work. So what I had to do, let me shut the power off before I turn it around here. What I had to do is just put a toggle switch in the back here. I just put a little toggle switch. So up is on, down is off, because the power switch is bad and we can't find a replacement for it. Does need a line cord that plugs in there. Works only on 117. The customer knows that, and they were okay with that. They don't need that 220 because they're never going to be playing it in 220. And which, if it never needed it, it just needs a switch. The switch is bad. There was a lot of debris in this radio. I had to clean it out quite a bit. It took me quite a while to get a lot of it clean. And circuit board, I sprayed it down a few times, and it's still got a lot of crud on it on the component side. Now the circuit side's fine. It's cleaned fine. So everything's good in it. It's just that it's got a lot of ventilation, so a lot of dust and dirt got in there and dried up over the years. This corner was busted off. Somebody had broke it off when the customers brought it in. The back literally fell out. It goes up into a groove in here. This one is busted off on the top here. And so this one and this one are the only ones connected. And this one probably broke off because that broke and they kept trying to shove it in and it just wore it out and broke it off. So it doesn't, you can see it doesn't go up into the slot like those do. It's not, it's, part of it is in there. So anyway, I put this little spacer on there and I put a plastic clip so it'd be electrically safe while they're plugging in the power cord. The screw is always there before, so that's nothing new. But, you know, you can't hit that screw and this at the same time, but I didn't want that falling down because this is screwed into the chassis. So they need to get a plug if they don't have one. I don't know if they got one. If not, I'll have to try to order them one. If we can't find one, we'll have to make a connector that'll fit on that. But other than that, the radio is ready to go back to its customer. It's been IF tuned and everything's running great on it. And so yeah, it's in good shape. And I didn't even have to wallow out these holes. I was able to find a toggle switch that actually fit through the hole just the way it was. So, and it's nice and secure, as you can hear. So yeah, that's good to go. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, and this is a Jubilate 205 Telefunken. Nice radio. Cabinet's in really good shape for its age. And it's got, you know, little chips there where some of the finish should come off. It's not the wood, it's just flake off the shellac. And it's got some wear spots where, you know, through its life here, you know, history. But that's normal. But all in all, this case is in excellent shape. I mean, look at that. Very light scratching, a little bit of overspray from paint, and I kind of got most of that off. It looks really good. This is in amazing shape. So yeah, and cleaned up the lens inside and out, and yeah, it's ready to go back to its customer. So anyway, thanks for watching.